police employees, I don't think all police employees are bad at all. I think most of them are well-intentioned initially, but they work for an agency that claims a legitimate right to use force. So they say, we're going to protect you, but first we're going to take your money to pay for our salary. So I tend to think an institution like that is like rife with perverse incentives. So there's like little mechanisms for them to actually be held accountable because they investigate themselves. And there's no competition. They don't have to satisfy their customers, the residents of their town or county or whatever. But they hire more employees, or they say more actions are illegal, and those are like the things that like the mission creep essentially. So, but basically. I would tend to think most of us here would agree that, like individuals act, so individuals are responsible for their actions at the end of the day. So like what we try to do with Cop Block is hold individuals responsible. So like if you're walking down the street and like, some Arlington PD person, Joe Smith, like for no reason tackles you and charges you with whatever obstruction, like I would hope like we don't just say, oh, Arlington PD is corrupt and we got to go after Arlington PD. We say, no, like Joe Smith, who works for Arlington PD, did this to Tom, and he was in the wrong, and really focus the attention on that person. And so we'll do call floods where we encourage people to like document interactions with police as objectively as they can, ideally through a camera. If you have a smartphone, you can stream it live to the internet with a free app, and we can go over that if you have any questions. But ideally, create an objective record, so then when you do share your story, other people can check it out and get up to speed, and they know it's not like your word against the police employees. If you go to court and you have video that conflicts with the police report, it's clear the person who wrote that report's lying or admitting or something, admitting some facts. So we always encourage you to record police interactions, and if you're on foot and you see someone being stopped or you're getting pulled over, I'd encourage you to start filming right away and sort of like frame it. This is where I'm at, this is what's happening, because like if something does happen, then there's some like background to it, and it also helps to kind of.
If you're getting arrested, is it legal to film?
I mean, no, I would say no. I mean, it depends right now on. It depends if you look to like the legalese, like that police claim to act according to. Like there was a few states, Massachusetts, Illinois, and Maryland, that were more restrictive, and there's 11 states right now that say that's a two-party consent state, meaning that you have to at least inform the other party that you're filming. But in most places, you can, if you're recording and it's hidden, it's not a big deal. My default is to record as openly as I can and to tell them I'm recording, because then there's no question. And then I hope that it causes them to think, hey, this may be seen by a lot of folks, and I don't want to, I know if I act aggressively, there's a much greater chance that I'm going to be held accountable. So if you do find yourself in interaction with police, I encourage you to film. And my suggestion is to let them know, like, hey, I'm filming, and
so that's a camera?
Yeah, this is a camera.
Is that a dash cam?
It can be put on. There's a mount that I have on my dash, so I can unscrew this and like just stick it on my dash and it's forward mounted. There's some really inexpensive dash mounted cameras, as low as $30 that you can get, that record on a loop, and that you can plug in your cigarette lighter. So when you start your car, it can turn on, and it's always recording. So if something happens, like you have that peace of mind. Even better than that, like cameras that stream to the internet, because then, if you're stopped and your camera is taken or destroyed or whatever, and if the contents are deleted, which Jackie said happened to her, and which happened to me and my friends down in Mississippi, like we were able to recover the data later. But if you're streaming online, then it's out there for everybody to see right away. If you have a smartphone, there's a number of free applications you can download, and if you go to copblock.org/apps, we have a number of them listed there. But we can go over them, and I can show you if you have a smartphone here. I use Bamboozer myself. It's pretty user friendly. I mean, just to show you what it looks like. If I'm driving or if I'm walking, I might just
Bamboozer?
Yeah, Bamboozer. I might just have Bamboozer pulled open. So this is what it looks like when it's not recording. And if I wanted to record, like right now, like it says it's connecting, and now it's streaming live to the internet. It's streaming to bamboozer.com/channel/copblock. Yep, and it's also embedded at copblock.org. So like right now, like this is streaming live. to the internet. So like it's a peace of mind.
Is it recorded on the internet?
Yep, it's recorded to the internet and it records to your phone. Nope. There's at least 4 apps that for Droid and for iPhone that are free that do this. They're each differ, but yeah, they're all free. Some of them cap you at like 24 videos, like Quick.com does that, QIK.com. That was one of the first ones to come out. But Bamboozler doesn't cap you, so you can you can record all the time, and it's online for anybody to see. And so it's really I've not seen it, but I'm not looking for it. I mean, it could happen, I'm sure, but. So yeah, so ideally, with Cop Block, we try to hold individuals accountable for their actions and support each other. So like if you have an incident, there's a submit tab at Cop Block. We encourage you to like do a thorough overview, bring everybody up to speed, share your video or whatever content you have. If you have like a complaint from the police, whatever, you can upload that online. We can embed that, and then people see it. We'll put contact information on there. We can do a call flood and support you. And I mean, winning in the court of public opinion really makes a difference, because a lot of times the things like if we're all like sort of peaceful people, the things we might be harassed about have no victim. Their actions that have no victim, they might get you with a catch-all like disorderly or interfering with government administration or something like that. So if we like sort of support each other and say, hey, that's not right, then it's a lot more likely those charges will get dismissed, and hopefully some level of accountability will be had. So that's like basic, like Cop Block, like that's the base level. Like we try to educate people on the rights. We have a Know Your Rights primer. We have Know Your Rights collection. We have a bunch of like videos on things like that. But past that for myself, and again, Cop Block's decentralized, so I don't speak for everybody, but my whole thing is if you really care about police accountability, like you're never going to get accountability through an institution that says we have a coercive monopoly. That's what policing is. We have a right to initiate force. And so, I always, like if I have a conversation with a police employee that, if he or she's having a conversation with me, it's more likely that they're a little bit more open-minded or whatever. So I would say, hey, like, you might work with somebody who's heavy-handed or corrupt, and sometimes they acknowledge that, and, wouldn't you prefer not to? And, of course they would. So, like, what's the surest way to have that happen? It's not through the current sort of structure of policing where they investigate themselves and things like that. It's when there's competition. And so that's my end goal, is to live in this.
How would you have competition?
I'm sorry?
How would you have competition?
Well, I mean, that's a good question. First we have to erode the bad idea that allows for this granting of extra rights. Police can claim extra rights. I mean, that's one of the taglines we try to use with Cop Block. Badges don't grant extra rights. And today, some police employees operate as if that's the case, and people, grant them deference, which allows it to happen. So, like the stop and frisks that were going on in New York and that still happen in Philly and Bridgeport. Like I kind of point out, if it's not any more right for someone with a badge to just come up on the street and sort of shake you down than it would be for me or Ingrid to do that. So if you can unpack these the claims that these other people are authorities just because they have a special attire on, and just see them as people, then it really like separate. It's not police and citizens. It's, hey, we're all people, and you don't have any extra. No one has extra rights.
You advocate competitive security?
Yeah, that could be one thing. Sure. I mean, I tend to harmonious relationships. Mutual sort of appreciation.
Yeah, but like competitive, like firms would compete for security contracts, private firms.
Right, that could be, there could be, security firms. I mean, some people talk about like insurance companies sort of integrating a component of protecting clients, and there's like arbitration that relies on reputation heavily and stuff like that. Because a lot of the problems that we see today, a lot of the violence, probably wouldn't exist, but for the current sort of structure, like the war on some drugs that incentivizes people to like maybe go out and commit some thefts to pay for their habits. If those substances weren't illicit, they'd be less expensive. So there's, I mean, it's part of a whole sort of the whole paradigm, I guess. But that's essentially. So yeah, Cop Block's mainly like education and support. We connect and we try to support each other. And then for me, ideas have consequences. So at the end of the day, I'm trying to just share an idea I think better than the one that sort of allows for the coercive monopoly to exist. And Yeah, I mean, I kind of covered some ground quick, so if you guys have like specific questions, but I also brought some literature. You guys are free to take as much as you want. There's some cop block stickers. There's like after if you do know somebody who is like, you know, I don't even like to say arrested. I say kidnapped and caged because that's what it is. If I did it to someone, it's kidnapped and caged. So like if you do end up in court, there's like this don't take a plea flyer. You know, these are real good for court outreach. Essentially says, hey, if you didn't do anything wrong, like why plead guilty? And if a fraction of people started, you know, 98% of charges are pled out. So if 5 or 10% said, hey, I didn't hurt anybody, there's no victim, then you're going to clog the court system, and it's going to be a lot less likely they're going to continue to harass people for engaging in actions for which there's no victim. So.
Do you help people who are like demonstrations and they get arrested?
Oh yeah, yep, definitely. And then the other stuff up there is pretty much just some resources, and a couple like LRN is a sort of an umbrella radio network that has Free Talk Live and Declare Your Independence, some like radio outlets. You know, it's more sort of liberty oriented, stuff like that. And
are you part of the Free State Project?
Yeah, actually, I learned of FSP in 2005, and that's why I'm up in New Hampshire now. And for those not familiar, the Free State Project is essentially it's like a bus. They want to get a bunch of liberty-oriented people to concentrate in one area instead of being dispersed across the states and the world. With the idea being that you can collaborate and be more effective. Then, so that's kind of why I'm up in New Hampshire. And they have two big events every day. They have an event in the winter in February called Liberty Forum. That's in a hotel. It's a few days. They have a bunch of speakers and like social kind of things, and then in the third week of June they have a week-long event that's called Porcupine Freedom Fest, and they chose porcupine because the porcupine's like, you know, it's not aggressive but it's able to defend itself, so that's kind of where they get that, you know, it's sort of the live and let live mindset up there, and yeah. Sorry? It's the FSP sort of put into animal. I don't know, yeah, but yeah, I don't know if any of y'all have like specific, I guess like if you're in a police interaction, like I encourage you to remain calm, cool, and collected. Like if you get angry or hostile, then it's much more likely and easy for those folks to like use force against you and levy a bunch of threats against you. And, you know, especially if you're creating a record of it, you know, if you're calm, cool, and collected and the other person's hostile, it's very clear to see, like, you got to think it's not just the interaction there at hand, it's everybody else watching and how that might play out. And if people see that you're peaceful, then they're much more likely to sort of support you and stuff. So.
Is that kind of stuff included in the website?
Yep.
So is there a national website and then local? Because when I went to Nate Cox's, I think that was Cop Block, Virginia.
That's right, yep, Virginia Cop Block.
Does he keep up that website himself? Or?
Yep. My buddy Adamo Freeman, he and I started copblock.org, and then some other folks started getting active. There's a groups page on Copblock that has, I don't know, over 60 groups listed now. So there's groups in a lot of cities and states now, and there's a Facebook group in the UK and a group in the Netherlands now. And, you know, we also have like Cop Watch, which is another sort of similar outlet, and Peaceful Streets Project, which is a similar outlet. We have those groups listed as well. And the idea being that if you're connected with folks on the ground, you know, it's not as scary, and it's definitely much more likely you're going to be able to like have an impact. So that's for me the biggest thing, is like making this horizontal and not just like go through a handful of people. So really focus on the groups.
Do you have any police that work with you?
We do, yeah. There's actually, we do, and it's pretty cool. There's a friend of ours named Bradley Jardis who used to be a cop in New Hampshire for like 11 years, and he got out of that because of his issues with the drug war, and he blogs at Cop Block, and he's a contributor. But yeah, we have other police employees who weigh in. We actually just made a Welcome Leo's page on Cop Block to sort of speak to current police employees and stuff, because I actually went to school for law enforcement, and I know like if I were a cop and someone came up to me on the street and were like, "Fuck you, pig," I'd be like, you know, I probably wouldn't be too open-minded or receptive to hearing them out or whatever. And that, to me, that sort of interaction only exacerbates the wall that like some people think exists. So I think, like, for me, my default is to try to approach police employees and share ideas and have a conversation and suggest, because most police go into policing that we have similar end goals, which is like a safe, prosperous, dynamic community. The question is, how is that best achieved? And I don't think it's through the current means of saying you guys have extra rights, because once you grant any kernel of extra rights, it's only going to grow. So instead, I'm saying, hey, let's just have consensual interactions. If you actually do a good job and your services are needed, then someone would voluntarily hire you, and you wouldn't have to enforce things people don't agree with, and you wouldn't have to work with corrupt colleagues and things like that. So that's kind of my take.
Protection?
Cop block protection? Yeah. Not yet. So this is a new component. Daniel Freeman, who's sort of like the, he and I are kind of like colleagues with a bunch of these things, like brainstorming. But he's just came out with this component called Cop block protection. It's on the website now. But the idea is that it's essentially a way to help get attention on your interaction if there is to be one. Like for example, you can there's like different packages you can get on board with. So the lowest one's like $7 a month, and you can pay like over a year, you get a discount. But the idea is if you have any police interactions, if you're arrested, if you're detained, then there's some deliverables from cop block folks who might have a little bit more experience with those kind of things, like doing a write-up on the issue and doing a call flood to get people to call in your support of you, or like creating a video about it, or making a meta post to follow up with a bunch of things. And if the situation is like serious enough, potentially having like somebody on the ground to help you get attention on it. Because I mean, if you win in the public opinion, it makes a huge difference. Like he and I had, for example, in 2010 we got arrested in Massachusetts, and we had 8 charges, 3 felonies, and we were on the ground doing outreach in town, doing cop blocking, doing everything we could think of, and by fast forward a year, we had everything but 3 charges dropped. And when we got to trial, we had a 2-day trial, and we had close to 100 people in the court both days, and it was a game changer. And one of the jurors was like, yeah, I knew these guys were lying, I knew you guys were all right, and so we got not guilty verdicts. And but it usually doesn't even have to get that far. Usually, like I had an arrest in Keene for wearing a hat in the courtroom because it was -17 out. I'm like, I'm not hurting anybody, I'm just sitting here. Next thing I know, I'm on the ground, and they brought me to a cage. But those are the kind of things. Daniel got arrested in Vegas, and I was streaming, and because like we had documentation, because we were able to get attention on it, it was clear there was no victim. There was a lot of calls that came in, and a lot of pressure put on those folks, and charges just get dropped. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. So those are like definitely some things I would advocate. So yeah, the cop block protection. The idea is that if you have any unforeseen issues, folks there to help you, and if you don't have any interactions for that year, let's say, then that coin is allocated to creating more resources for cop block for other people to use, or to help highlight like stories of other people being victimized and stuff like that. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. But I don't know. Do you have anything to add, Dave? You seem familiar with it.
The only thing I want to add is, this can't only be our first time meeting. We can still have meetings. Just because he's on a tour, we can still meet up maybe once a month. I'm always open to that. I know a lot of people live, like he lives in D.C., Maryland, Virginia. I'm always in between D.C. and Maryland, Virginia. But I mean, just hit us up on Facebook. Hit me up on Facebook. We can always have a meeting. I don't want just one meeting, then everybody go their separate ways. So, yeah, I got it.
Is there a cop block Maryland or DC?
Yes, it's cop block Maryland. It's new.
Yeah, there's both.
So where do you get those cameras, like that dash camera?
You can get this at Best Buy, get it online.
Like Amazon?
Yep, definitely. Yep. Yeah, but again, if you have a smartphone, I'd encourage you to get a free streaming app, and I can, walk you through it right now if you want. But I don't know, you guys have any other questions about like things you've experienced, or like how to handle scenarios or anything like that?
About the UIs.
Usually aggressive to happen.
Yeah, but it's what do you like? Should you take the breathalyzer or not take the breathalyzer?
I mean, I don't know. My default would be not to, but that's.
What they say, we're going to take you in if you don't take the breathalyzer.
I mean, there's consequences, but
Right.
Either way.
Then they got to get a warrant to take blood, right?
It depends the jurisdiction, like where you're at. In Austin for a little while, I mean, some places they say they have the right to like take blood, and other places they say they don't, but they will automatically suspend your license for a certain amount of time, stuff like that.
San Antonio, they just, I think 2 years ago, they did start doing it. It's mandatory now.
Yeah.
So either you do it in the cell or volunteer to take the breathalyzer. So.
But if you don't take the breathalyzer, your license gets suspended. That's not like that doesn't go on your record as a.
It depends. I mean, some places they'll suspend your license for like a year or something.
Right, but it doesn't
issue.
You're not convicted of a DUI, though, right? Like they just.
I honestly am not as familiar with DUIs to be able to comment.
Yeah, you just gotta look that up.
Yeah.
Justin's a heavy drinker, so.
If how fast you get out of the car, is that different state by state, whether or not you have to get out?
Yeah, I don't know. Those are like gray areas, I guess. I'm not too sure what the.
I think if he asks you that, it's a question. You just say no. I think if the cop says, "Can I search your car?" You just no. But
right.
if he has your suspicion, he's probably not going to even ask you. He's just going to say no.
Right.
No, to get out of the car.
Well, I know, but I'm saying if he's asking to get out of the car, I would just say no. And if he has
you
reasonable
choose to get out of the
suspicion
car.
to get in, then he's probably going to search. He's probably going to have you get out of the car forcefully.
Oh, so you don't have to get out of the car.
If he's asking a question, I would just say no.
Yeah, I mean, I guess these
I've heard
actions
mixed
are like.
stuff.
Can you get out of the car?
Then I'd rather not.
You just have it on.
Yeah, I would. Anytime you're asked a question by a police employee, I'd try to respond with a question. Rather than sort of allowing yourself to get pushed into a corner or to give them more information than you don't want to give up. Just respond with a question. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, I'm legally required. If you're stopped, like if you're on foot, you don't have to give your identification unless you like fit a description of somebody. Like if you're a passenger in a car, you don't have to give ID. Things like that. It's much easier. Like if I go out cop blocking, I like being on foot because it's a lot less. There's a lot less areas that they can harass you. Yeah. So I don't know, just some sort of default. But yeah, if you are stopped and being detained, am I free to go? And those are kind of like. If they say no, then you could just walk away. So it depends whatever you're comfortable with.
Is that the best string you have?
Sorry?
Is that the best one out there?
It's my
Boozer, because I looked it up, I didn't find it.
Yeah, it's BAM BUSER.
Oh, BUS.
Yeah, BAM BUSER. It's my preferred one.
I bet you were.
I watched a couple of live streams. It's awesome.
But yeah, there's other apps listed, coplock.org/apps. There's a few apps on there. There's a good one actually. I just got Waze for maps and stuff. It's like it's great.
Told me about that.
Yeah, some other friends at Keene did, but yeah, it's been great. It's like a free GPS map that works well, and it also has, since it's crowdsourced, it has you can say, oh, police ahead. The whole drive down here from New Hampshire, every police car that I saw that was stopped or hiding out, it was already on Waze. Someone had said, hey, there's a cop here. And then when you go by, you can say, yes, he's still here, or nope, nobody here. So it's great, people are looking out for each other.
A lot of truck drivers use that.
Nice.
Oh, for real? Yeah, that's one of the truck driver secrets.
So yeah, at the end of the day, the thing is, if there's no victim, if you're doing something that doesn't hurt anybody, no one has a right to harass you or demand money from you or to put you in a cage. So we try to make those things transparent, try to help each other to lessen those occurrences. That's a goal.
Makes people have a good job, and the cops ask for money for everything.
Yeah, pretty much. It's a lot of revenue generation activities, that's for sure. It's easier to shake people down for money than it is to go after real
You did
criminals. I don't know. I would be surprised. But
Dave, right? Dave? Do you have this information too, or do you just have all these flyers? I was wondering if you do any outreach, because there's probably some places you go to distribute information.
Oh yeah, man, I do. People are real receptive. If you're on the street, you'll learn what lines are effective. I'm like, hey, do you want to? Can I get you some information about knowing and protecting your rights in police interactions? Oh yeah, and then half the time they start telling you their own story about having some interaction and stuff. So yeah, the stuff that's up here. You guys are welcome to take you know, as much as you want all of it. I have more stuff in the trunk, so you know, it's there to be used and like shared, and just to get ideas out there. So yeah, but
Don't be afraid of file complaints. Don't be afraid of file complaints. Don't let them intimidate you. If you feel like you was wrongly done by the law, file a complaint, because that works a lot. Because there are some, like Charles County Sheriff, he's pretty strict. That's in Charles County, St. St. Charles, Maryland. The sheriff out there, he's really strict on his guys out there. Like if you file a complaint, I think he pretty much stay on top of them. Don't be afraid to speak up. Like me, I grew up in Northeast DC. Basically every day, I got harassed by cops just for walking down the street. I mean, I'm not like, oh, I wasn't doing anything wrong when I really was doing it. I mean, like, walking to school, like, I used to get picked on by cops. My last interaction with cops was last year during the summer. My sister lives in Northeast DC. She got jumped by 3 males and I think it was like 6 females. They actually split her forehead open. And I was actually out in Maryland. So the next day, she got back in town from vacation, and I actually followed her home to make sure she got in her building safe. What happened was the people that jumped her lived across the street. And I was walking behind my sister, and she was holding her apartment door open to let me in. Next thing you know, 20 minutes later, there was 17 cops, 2 helicopters, and 3 dogs surrounding the building. Instead of them coming in to bust the door in with guns, pointing the guns and stuff like that, I went outside to talk to them. When I went outside, I guess the person that was in charge grabbed me, threw me against the car, and punched me in my testicles. Then put me in handcuffs and set me on the ground. Like stuff like that. Of course, I was kind of pissed off. I said something to him. He threatened to throw me on the ground, beat me up, all types of stuff. But anyway, it was a lie. The person that actually jumped my sister called the cops on me, saying that I was in the middle of the street waving a gun, and I actually shot at their window, and I threw drugs on the ground. Come to find out they lied. My sister told them what happened the day before. They never even questioned the people about it. Even when it happened, my sister called the cops. They never arrested anybody. But when they found out that I was telling the truth, after like 4 hours, the cop comes up to me. He was like, I can still take you to jail right now if I want to. And it was just like, it's like, for what, you know? But he was saying just because somebody said something that I did, that gives him the right to take me to jail. And I think that's wrong. Because I can say, he smacked me, you know, he hit me across the head. They can actually come and lock him up without even looking at my face, taking pictures, questioning witness and stuff like that. It's kind of crazy, but the most tragic thing that ever happened to me, my brother was shot 10 times by cops, just walking. I was kind of young at an early age. I really don't remember what happened, but come to find out, the rumor is they were dirty cops. They was like bad cops. Like they was in plain clothes and plain vehicles. They jumped out and shot him. They actually shot at him like 15 times. Only one missed him. A couple of them missed him. He got shot all over his body. But ever since then, he's been beat up by cops. He had to relearn how to talk, walk. Like right now, he has mental illness. He comes and goes. Nobody knows where he is half the time, but it's stuff like that. It's real dangerous out here. They will kill you. You know, that's my opinion of DC cops. PG County cops, they're more of above the law type cops. They don't care. You know, like what I notice around in the PC and Virginia area is they don't like being cops, like because they want to help people. They being cops now for a career, just to get a paycheck. You know, that's all they want to do. They want to do their 10 hours, go home, and that's it. But that's just my little input. Give you the type of idea where I'm coming from. I used to be aggressive towards them, but now I calm down a lot. I have a 6-year-old son, and I don't want him seeing me get arrested and stuff like that. So I kind of found peace. I try to talk to him like a human being now. So far, it's been working. So that's it.
Are you part of the DC group too?
No, I'm a big follower of Facebook and supporter, but I'm not organized in any way. I do a lot of stuff myself, by myself, because I really didn't know that all you guys are out here. So thanks for bringing us all together. And, I really got into it also because I was reading a lot of Supreme Court cases in college and things like that. And one of the big ones is that police officers have no constitutional duty to protect anybody, and that raises like a lot of different philosophical issues. Because the principle of being a citizen is having protection, from your government. And if you have no protection, then are you really even a citizen? And then they go about putting people in prison, putting peaceful people in prison cages, even though they haven't harmed anybody else. So they really go out of their way to be authoritarian, even though they owe you nothing and you owe them everything. So that's really got involved with this. Involved with this is because of my philosophy of self-ownership. But I'm in Alexander if anybody ever wants to do anything. I think one of the big reasons of even outreaching, or a good source might be something called Robin Hooding, which is feeding people's meters. Because, pretty much if you park somewhere and a meter maid tickets you, I mean, it's a threat of force, because eventually it's going to roll into something bigger where they, eventually the gun's going to come to your door and they're going to take you away. But if you can show that cop block actually has a part where they help somebody out, I mean, you could feed someone's meter, I think, which might actually be against a lot of different jurisdictions. But you could put a note on their door saying, we saved you $50, $100, your freedom, whatever it might be.
Yeah, it's kind of tough now with the new meters, though, because you got to place the ticket inside the dash.
Yeah. You can put it on the on the windshield wiper, right?
Can you?
I mean, sure, why not? I mean, it's not required that it's.
Oh no, I think he's saying that new meters require you to put it instead of
it's a little ticket, but I don't think there's any requirement that it be inside your car. I think you can.
But he's saying it's tough to tell. Like the meter that flashes, you could say, "Oh, there's 2 minutes left. Here comes the meter maid. Boom, you save them."
Well, same.
But it's
tough. Somewhere the meter maid reads
the ticket. You have to go look through everyone's window to see if
walk back to the
machine. The time on it. Yeah.
I'm not gonna walk down the street and look through everyone's dash.
Yeah, it's definitely more cumbersome. But I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'd have to walk off the sidewalk next to the car,
right?
And then someone's probably going to call the cops on you because you're going to look like you're trying to rob somebody, Or you could actually pay for the tickets you do pay for by robbing some cars. That was a joke.
Did they arrest people for stealing food barbecues?
I mean, it depends where we're at, but they've arrested folks for doing food not bombs, giving food to homeless people. They've arrested people for in Orlando. They arrested a bunch of folks, and other people would come and man the table. They arrested all them. I mean, it's just ridiculous. But those are the kind of things that, if they're documented and disseminated and people see it, they're like, hey, this is messed up. And
you hear about the New York couple that was swing dancing on the subway platform?
Oh, yeah.
They just got $75,000.
They got their money back.
They got a settlement of $75,000 from the city for being arrested for bullshit arrest. So that ended well, fortunately. For them.
Ever since last year when people were dancing the Jefferson Memorial,
Yeah.
anybody saw their money. But this is like stuff that people see and they're like,
They didn't
this
get
is
any money for
ridiculous.
that.
No. No, when people see it, they're like, this is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Or certain people, I mean, if we're talking about, I was talking with Pete earlier, you know, I might believe that like the drug war is ridiculous, but a lot of people don't have that mindset right now. I think it's changing. But people are like, well,
I mean,
what do you
drugs are
expect?
illegal.
You know, you're having exactly. But a lot of people have the mindset that things are wrong because they're against the law, and that doesn't.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's another important thing. Like, I really try to unpack language, like, kidnapping cage versus arrest, or law and versus legislation. Like, someone, that's against, or there's a law that says you can't do that. But I mean, I would say law is like something that whether you point to like God's law, natural law, common law, whatever, we kind of each know. Most people, like, irregardless of the culture or whatever, have concluded like murder's wrong and rape's wrong and theft is wrong. That's like things that we know is against like whatever law we point to. But like legislation is like is dictates that these folks who say that we have a right to control you push. They say you don't obey our authority, therefore it's disorderly, or you do this. So it's just like yeah, exactly.
You do anything against the TSA?
Yeah, we have some. There's a group, We Won't Fly, that has been pretty active with that. And yeah, some friends in Keene have done some things. I mean, a lot of places. It's pretty good. I mean, today we live in a time when like ideas are powerful and ideas have consequences. And if we, for me, it's like if you act according to your conscience, if you act like as you think is right, and just work to get it out there, you never know how many people it can reach. Like, just sharing an idea can plant a seed and can really shift someone's paradigm. So, whatever is your issue that you choose to focus on or whatever, I would just encourage you to document it and share it, and work and support each other and stuff like that. Because the folks who claim to protect us, they operate on fear and people being scared and turning to them for help. And I really would prefer not to have we had this cop blocking 101 video, and in it, Adamo tells this cop, like, you work for me, and like, you can go home. I don't want to pay your salary for this, and it's like, it's funny, but it's true. Like, I wouldn't choose to pay somebody to harass. I wouldn't choose to pay someone to shoot Dave's brother. I would pay to have someone caged for using a plant, or all these other things. Like, so it's really, it's the incentives are really skewed right now because it's a monopoly. But
if you think about it, I mean, you actually can do more time with marijuana than we're actually murder. I mean,
Depending on how much.
I mean,
unless you have a badge.
I'm just saying, like, that's how the world is like changing now. It's getting crazy now. Like, I go through so much, man. I can sit here and talk all night.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's like the language. Like, if I went outside and like did something to hurt somebody, like if I'm me, like I get in trouble. But if I have a badge on, I say, oh, it's sovereign immunity, and it's just this like made up legalese, like fiction, like it's magic. Like all of a sudden, I'm not accountable for my own actions because I'm just doing my job or I'm acting under color of law. So these are just like, to me, like the legalese, like the legislation and things like that really have distorted what law really means and stuff. So,
but I mean, what they're doing is actually working. People are starting to wake up. I see cops commenting on videos on YouTube. They're starting to wake up. I know personally, I'm not going to say his name. I know a cop that worked 25 years. And I showed him a couple of videos, and then he started watching videos that, like, within 2 months of me interacting with him, meeting up with him, and showing him the videos, he quit. I mean, there are people that really want to hold up the Constitution. I think it's Mississippi or Missouri. They're trying to pass a bill now that if any Fed doesn't hold up the Constitution, automatically move 4 years in prison or something like that. I haven't really had time to look at it. People starting to wake up.
Yeah, I tend to be optimistic. So.
You guys have jury notification information?
Yeah, it's mentioned in this.
Is it
Don't
in
take
there?
it lead, but yeah, the real good website, FIJA.org, FIJA, Fully Informed Jury Association. They've been around a while.
Is there a link from Papala?
Yep, there's an allies page, so there's some other resources linked to from there.
So are we supposed to like just be vigilant, or are we gonna actually do things like find out like there's like some kind of protest going on and go down there and videotape cops or something? I'm not trying to throw an idea. I'm just like saying like,
I mean,
or is
it's
this just like for us to get educated and then pass on the information?
like if you want to do something like with me, if you want to do something like that, get on Facebook, DC Clock Block or Maryland Clock Block, Virginia. I think Virginia has 2 or 3. Northern Virginia, Southern Virginia, I think.
And I'm an admin on DC Cop Blocks. If anyone wants to get more active there, I can make you an admin.
Yeah, all you have to do is just post it on it. Like I was saying earlier about this cop that he killed his girlfriend and left his baby in the car to die. Like I actually wanted to go up because in my community I heard a lot of people talking about it, and like me, that's like a good time to go out and start spreading the word.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, man.
But
Here's to reinforce the Robinhood. These are some cards that our friends at Keene made up. So it's like little business cards. You go out in Robinhood, and so the front's like Robinhood of Keene, it says, and the back says, your meter expired, however we saved you from the King's tariff. Please consider paying it forward. So every now and then someone will just like send $5 or whatever, and it pays for the cost of materials, it pays for things like that, and it's a huge goodwill effort because all it is a revenue generator. So I mean, there's resources like this that can be replicated, but like we had a friend in Keene last year who got like Derek J. Freeman, some of y'all may have seen his stuff, who got like tackled by this cop. It was completely uncalled for and like punched and stuff. So there was, I don't know, 10 activists right there when it was going down because it was up the street. We got a bunch of different camera angles. We sat down. We said, all right, who can do what? Like, all right, we'll dump the footage. You edit this. You write that. You do this. And then, like, later that evening, we went to outside the police employee's house, and we sang a song, like, you know, essentially shaming him, and like and then, you know, he and his wife were peeking out through the curtains, and then me and another friend went door to door to his neighbors and said, hey, like, I don't want to burn up a lot of your time, but I know if I lived next to somebody who assaulted people like this, I would want to know about it, and so I encourage you to check out this link, think for, you know, stuff like that, because I mean that's the last thing these guys want.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, so like you really make it personal because they're the people who do it, and you know it's you know, you document it and you show it to other people. There was a cop in Philly who punched this Puerto Rican lady, Josie was his name, and the fraternal order of police up there, they had a benefit for him. And it got leaked to the location, so a bunch of activists turned out, a bunch of like cop blockers and like Puerto Rican activists and all these other groups, and it was a big like, how dare you think this is okay? And so that there was so much pushback, the guy got fired, and now he's facing the charges. So I mean, it's very empowering when we work together.
I don't know if anybody didn't notice, but this week it's been a lot of cops getting arrested for, I mean, even stuff they did 2 years ago. Like,
oh, really?
That's what I'm saying. It's starting to work. You know what I'm saying? Spreading the word around and stuff like that. But like with your question, if you want to meet up or you see something,
Yeah, I'd definitely like to meet up here again, maybe next month.
I mean, I like to see Maryland, Virginia, and DC merge. You know what I mean? Meet up.
Maybe
together.
just DC and Virginia.
Well, I think
Not
like last weekend there was a bunch of people who tried to get arrested or were willing to get arrested in the inauguration. That'd be a good time for people to be out there.
Yeah, I mean, you go to events where there might be folks receptive and just do a bunch of outreach, collect, you know, do interviews, or if something big happens, you can like try to interview like the victim and get their story out there and really give them support. What we started doing in Manchester Peaceful Streets in New Hampshire started doing this, and in Keene every month, and in Keene they started doing like getting from the paper every week the list of people, like arrests and all those that were arrested for victimless actions. Like we have 4 sort of form letters made up, one for marijuana, one for driving offenses, one for this, one for that. And so we send them this letter and a little bit of information and say, hey, we're here to support you. Here's, you know, and you hear back from them, and people are, because then they know their rights. If they're going to court, they say, hey, I didn't hurt anybody. I'm not going to take a deal, or you know, they might get involved themselves. So, you know, there's definitely a lot of tactics out there, and each group is different. So whatever y'all, you know, want to get into, you know,
Well, I mean,
I'm open to anything. I'm open to anything.
I know a bunch of people who are here today are like part of like at least 2-3 other activist groups.
Yeah.
So if you got like more pamphlets, you can hold on to it, and every time there's another, you know, protest or whatever, we can hand out this material as well.
Right on. Yeah.
You know?
Right on. Yeah, I'm down with all this stuff. I got some more, most of the Who Owns You flyers, which are pretty good, because like some folks you might interact with who don't have like as ready of internet access as some of us might. You know, it has a little bit of information on the front about your rights, and then it has some resources on the back, so it's kind of a good card. But then this warning one's pretty good too, in terms of like just sharing some like basic know your rights information, and like, you know, badges don't grant extra rights and stuff like that. So those are both pretty good. I mean, I try to, like, you know, if I see a police car parked, like, where we'd get a ransom note, I'll leave one of these in the windshield, or, you know, I leave them in, like, if you go into, like, a public bathroom, you know, and you're just doing your thing, like, I'll stick one right there, because it's something for someone to read, or I'll stick it in, like, if you're pumping gas, where you put the credit card, because someone's going to take it out and read it while they're pumping gas, you know, like, throw it in, like, the free newspapers or something, like, you never know the impact that you could have, so. I mean, I got cop locked over like across my whole tailgate on my Tahoe. So, for me, I think it's a big deterrent. So, Nate Cox, some of y'all know, like, you know, when he got pulled over a couple months ago, you know, he has on video, you know, the person who pulled him over, like, I don't want to end up on YouTube and stuff like that. And they're like, well, you're probably going to be on YouTube. So, you know. His cousin got stopped a couple months ago, and right away the guy's like, oh, you're with cop lock, like, you know, so.
Yeah, it's a deterrent.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, you got to think, if you're a police employee, like, if you're, I mean, if you're aware of it, then it's like, you know, if you harass this person, they're gonna more likely to know their rights, stand up for the rights, you know, document it, push back, not take a plea deal, you know, or do whatever. And it's not taking a plea deal is not like an absolute. You should, like, you got to do what makes sense for you. But even if you don't take the first plea deal, it uses more of the resources. Or if you go to court and then do whatever, like, there's
Hire them out.
yeah. And so if we all, like, just do a little bit more, it can have a big effect. So.